G'day folks, I hope everyone's having a nice new year. I know I didn't really do many videos over the new year, but well, over the holidays at all, I really took it quite easy. So as you can see, not much has changed. Not much at all. But yeah, I've got a the VFD for the tyre machine came in. It's physically a little bit bigger than I was expecting, because the Delta ones are about, I don't know, 3/4 of the size of this, but I could still find enough room to fit it in, which is good. So I might end up mounting it on the removable side cover, and I'll just shield this with fly screen, like basically glue squares of fly screen over the vents so the creepy crawlies and large bits of dust can't get in. Same with the back side of the grill anyway. I just want to dust proof it. Make sure no water can splash in there either. But that's about it. It should work quite well. It doesn't have a fan on it, so it's not going to be sucking dust through like mad. It's not going to act like a vacuum cleaner. Decent size heat sink, and for the short amounts of time this thing's going to be running, I don't think it's going to be an issue at all. I've heard of people running these drives. I think this is the same company that made the other one I've got, Hunyang inverter. This looks remarkably similar in its mouldings and casing and all that sort of stuff. So it wouldn't surprise me in the least if it's just rebranded. Like, they've printed MJB controls on it, but that's just a rebrand thing. It'll be a Hunyang inverter, and people can run them all day long, especially in a state of constant acceleration and deceleration. The drives we use at work are Delta, and they're usually in a constant state of accel and decel, and they do not give a shit. But they're Delta drives. I've also heard of people using these drives in similar situations. Granted, they only last a few years. That's pretty darn good for a cheap Chinese drive. This was only 150 bucks, so if it lasts 10 years in a tyre machine getting minimal use, provided nothing gets in there and kills it, that's a really good deal. So yeah, single phase 240 input, output 4.5 amps, 0 to 400 hertz at 220 volts or 240 volts 50, or 240 volts, or no, sorry, these are variable voltage and variable frequency, so it'll ramp that up just accordingly. I think after 50 hertz it just goes constant current or something like that. So yeah, they're a nice little device. They're well worth having if you want to play with small 3-phase motors. Don't try and connect them to an imbalanced load though, like a single phase motor that has a different winding, like start and run windings have different ohm ratings. You'll confuse the shit out of them, or in the worst case you'll blow it up. Especially if you haven't disconnected capacitors and other stuff from it, or the motor has a starting switch or something in it. You can do horrible damage very quickly. I know quite a few people have asked me if they can overspeed a single phase induction motor or a repulsion or universal motor. My only advice is not to try it, because I've asked a couple of guys who work with these quite regularly. They just say don't put an imbalanced load on it. Best case scenario, you'll just trip it, or the motor will just sit there buzzing away, stalling. Worst case scenario, you'll blow the crap out of your drive, so yeah, don't do it. Same with switching direction after the drive, or putting a switch after the drive. Never do that. Just couple the drive straight to the motor. Do your switching with the drive. I was wondering if that could be done using my current drive, so I could plug the 3-phase plug straight into my portable drive whenever I wanted to use the tyre machine, and use the rocker switch on the machine just to change the motor direction while the drive's running. And people basically just said, you'll grenade the drive. Be prepared for a very big bang and a lot of smoke. So even just suddenly switching the motor on while the drive's just free running at whatever set frequency, 50 hertz, it won't like it one little bit. So you do have to be careful if you buy any kind of VFD. Doesn't matter what brand it is. It could be a Telemecanique, it could be made by Allen Bradley. You'll still blow it if you do it wrong. It's really easy to do it wrong if you're experimenting or doing silly things that you shouldn't. And it gets really expensive if you, well, even if you got the drive for free, it's still a waste of a good drive. But if you spent $200, $300 or $1,000 on a drive, you don't want to blow it up in the first week. It's not a nice feeling. Anyway, enough rambling about VFDs. I'll show you how I set this one up later, and I'll show you how I program it and set it. Once I get the rest of the machine apart again, and I'll examine the drum switch and just see how I can control forward reverse signals with the common signal. Should not be hard at all. Yeah, we'll go from there. And I've also got a box underneath it, which I think is sent by my friend Leo. He might not be, but I think there's propylene glycol leaking out the bottom of it, so it's probably from Leo. He sent me a said he was sending me a smoke machine and some stuff to feed the shredder, so that'll be fun. Let's see if it is. But yeah, judging by the solution that's weeping through the bottom of the box, I'd say it is. Okay, I'm not going to show you too much of what's in here, but yeah, there's a smoke machine. There's been a propylene glycol leak. Unfortunately, it's been upended in transit and it is everywhere. But there's some interesting stuff to feed the shredder, so that's going to be kind of fun. Some of it's too good to shred, like I'll probably eat some of it. I'm guessing some of it's just a Christmas present, provided it's still in date. But yeah, shredder's got some food. There's a lot of stuff in there. I've just sort of covered it up because I don't want to spoil the surprise, although I'm sure you can see a few different things. Anyway, let's have a look at the last thing that I picked up recently. I did pick up a couple more plasma TVs, but you've seen them before. I've also got an interesting way of powering them down there. Well, overvolting the panel. You know what that's from. That's from that old direct drive washing machine that I had out by the back tap. Well, the drive in that thing inexplicably died, so that gave me a perfectly good excuse to strip it down. And I've got a complete motor drive unit there. That's going to be interesting. From numerous experiments, not just putting it through a plasma TV. That thing's going to kick ass. I've just got to do some potting and corona control work, because once you start cranking those things up free revving, you can burn the pins off the stator pack. Essentially, that plug on the end of it will burn out. It just arcs straight over between the pins and just total meltdown. So yeah, that needs some work, but we'll have some fun with it. What do we have here? I've been doing a few trips to the local rubbish dump, and they don't mind me taking whatever I want. So yeah, I picked this little thing up. I didn't get all of it, unfortunately. I couldn't find the display part, but everything else is here. It's part of an old video editing system. I bet you probably don't even need the display. I could probably substitute that. Oh no, that's a camera. Is that what they're showing? Oh no, there's supposed to be a handheld module. Sony trackball. I've got a feeling all of that would have been in a box nearby, and I didn't even bother looking for it, because most of that stuff would have been kind of interesting. 120 volts, 220 volts. That's the thing I noticed. It's got different plugs on it. No, 220 volt, 50 hertz. It would have worked. Yeah, that's all I got. Image scanner, digital memory, and that I think is the integrator. Yeah, multicolour corrector. Okay, I think some of it's still missing. Yeah. Well, that'll be interesting. I can stay in here for now. I don't have room to put it down in the shed yet, but that's cool. Really cool. Yeah, definitely got to nuke this TV. It's all gouged up, so there's really not much point. Yeah, the rubbish tip find. Yeah, the front glass isn't too bad. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, I'm gonna fry your ass. Power supply, geez, it's one of the big chunky ones. The thing weighs a ton. It's old. The original Korean made one. Yeah. It's had a fair bit of a beating. It's going to take more abuse after this. There's another one down here, but the panel's already busted, so it's just parts, essentially, caps. It's a shame because I can see blown out caps through the back there, and one that's already been replaced at some point. Probably could have fixed it if they didn't bust the panel up first. Oh well, you can't win them all. Yeah, so what can I say? I hope everyone's having a great New Year and had a great Christmas and everything. I know I did. I was flat out doing family stuff and other bits and pieces and spent way too much time in front of the computer. but we'll catch up during the week. It's more fun just to relax and do things one day a week on the weekend essentially, rather than try and do several days of the same thing. So I'll just aim to do maybe an autopsy a week, or some other interesting videos. We'll break up the shredder ones. I know a couple of people have told me they're getting bored of them already, which is fair enough. I've got such a diverse audience, I don't blame anyone for getting bored of content that they didn't originally want to watch. But I change things all around all the time, so if you really hate it, you don't have to subscribe, but just stick in there because I'll be changing things around. Little Betty needs at least one drive shaft oil seal going into the gearbox that started leaking, and there's also another leak coming from the back of the box, so I'm hoping it's just a speed sensor and not actually a seam between castings. If it is a seam between castings, that's a bit hard to fix, but it's only been since I did the oil change and actually filled it up to the proper level, so I've got a feeling it'll level out and just stay the same. I'll just keep a close eye on it by taking the filler plug out and just rodding down into it and just see how much oil's in there. Because I couldn't detect anything when I stuck my finger inside the hole last time, but when I did a proper fill on it, it actually overflowed, and that was with the car raised up at an angle. So I've got a feeling I've either slightly overfilled it, not to the point of coming out the breather, or the new oil is actually cleaner and thinner than the stuff that came out, and it's actually found a couple of weak links, especially the drive shaft seal, because pulling the drive shafts out to replace the boots would have upset an old seal. And that's kind of understandable, so yeah, I think it's just decided to give up. Anyway, not entirely hard to do. I've popped drive shafts out of cars before and done all that sort of business, so that'll be a weekend job. We'll have a look at how to do both of them anyway. I'll get a seal kit, do both sides, and yeah, it should work quite well. Anyway, plenty of different content coming up, so I'll try and break up the shredder videos, do one of them every now and then. I've got plenty of goodies to feed through it by the looks of it, and we'll do some more automotive work. I'm basically looking for another car to clean up and get on the road and probably sell, so I've got a feeling I'll be doing that a bit more. I like working on tidying up cars, getting them roadworthy, and then flogging them off. I did ask Dad if he wanted to buy a blue RAV because he's still down here from Queensland driving around and he loves it. But yeah, he basically just said don't say that kind of thing. I know he loves it, but I don't think he's in the market for one at the moment. Maybe later on up north, but it'd be a bit hard for me to actually go over it and fix it up for him, unless I go up there. But anyway, it's all good fun. Thanks for watching.